Having problems with your wiring? This is what you do.
Ring YTV's Christmas line on leads 448
This Clark and his Breaking the News panel look back over the 12 months of 2022 now on CS Enterprises. In Breaking the Year, the following programme was recorded before the death of the great Pili.
Hi, I'm Des Clark, and this is Breaking the Year, the show that breaks down the last 12 months of news and asks for opinionated panellists to put it back together again. Joining me are comedian and actress Karen Dunbar. Alongside her, comic, actor and occasional dancer, it's Neil Delamere. And facing off against them, comic and actor Chris Forbes. And our very own stand-up superstar, it's Susie McCabe. Yes, we are looking back at 2022. It was a year of celebrations. Eve Muirhead was in the news this year for hitting a stone, not to be confused with Will Smith, who was in the news for slapping a rock. This year's superhero blockbuster, The Batman, was filmed in Glasgow. The city was chosen not only for its urban Gothic backdrops, but for the fact it's the most believable place to see an orphan fighting a cat. And Matt Hancock claimed that he was going on I'm a Celebrity to campaign for dyslexia awareness, which he did brilliantly by not reading The Room. Right, we've got so much to get through. 3 Prime Ministers, 2 monarchs and 1 almighty constitutional tussle. Let's do it. Let's crack on with round 1. This is the Broken News round, where our teams have to guess the 2 stories of the year that have been mashed together into one headline. So, Neil and Karen, can you tell me what you think the first story is?
The Supreme Court in Britain has ruled that the Scottish Parliament does not have the power to sack
Boris Johnson
without the consent of the UK government in London.
It is only 4 days ago that Liz Truss resigned, and now
First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon,
will become Prime Minister.
So there we go, mashing it all up. There were 2 stories in there. Neil, what do you think the first story is?
Could it be something to do with the fact that you've had 3 Prime Ministers in a very short space of time, Desmond?
That is a very, very good answer, and indeed it is the right answer. Yes, it was the dominating story of 2022 as Partygate brought about the fall of Boris Johnson's premiership. There followed a lengthy selection process which saw Liz Truss installed as the next Tory leader, but after just 7 weeks in charge, she stepped down and handed the keys to number 10 to Rishi Sunak. It is a year in which the UK Prime Ministers have been like buses. They keep lying to you about Brexit. What a year, Neil. I mean, how do you even sum it up? But what have you made of the last 12 months in Westminster?
It was the hustings that were just crazy, and then Boris Johnson was going to come back at one point, and people were lining up to see if he was going to win, would we support him? And Nadeem Zahawi was my favourite one. He went, "Oh, when I was Chancellor, I thought Boris Johnson was great." He was Chancellor for 2 days. 2 days. My college girlfriend's period was late by 48 hours. I wasn't walking around going, "Speaking as a father."
Well, nonsense. What do you think, Cara Dunbar? What a year. How do you sum up what's been happening in Westminster?
What's been happening in Westminster, they've got new carpets, I think, and you can get a really nice foie gras for $2.49. I'm not political. Could you tell?
Would you like to be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom?
I possibly could. Yeah. I've got 7 weeks free, so...
Well, listen, it's been a crazy old year. Susie McCabe, try and sum it up. What have you made of the last 12 months in Westminster?
See that mini budget? That was like me at 3 in the morning going to the casino. with my big pal, my credit card, going up to the table, tanning all the money, not knowing the rules, and then getting huckled out with the bouncers at 5 in the morning. What a world.
Chris Forbes, what have you made of the last year in Westminster?
I actually found it, I would like to say, harder than anyone. Because during the...
This is a bold statement.
Very bold. But during the whole 3 PMs in 7 weeks, I had a small baby at the time, OK? Now, every week when you have a baby that doesn't sleep feels like about a year. So at first, every time it changed leadership, I just thought, yeah, that sounds about right. Surely my child is 4 years old now. We must be getting out of this not sleeping, crying all the time stage. And then there'd be another change, and I thought, good, she'll be off to school soon. The new Prime Minister. So to find out that not only did this all happen in 7 weeks, and my baby was still just a tiny little baby, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I can see the pain.
Yeah.
If you could choose absolutely anyone to be Prime Minister, who would it be and why?
What I want in terms of a candidate for the UK Prime Minister is someone who is consistent. That's all I want. Because in both our islands over the last while, the leaders just keep changing their minds. So you had, for example, you had Liz Truss, used to be a Liberal Democrat, now a Tory, right? Mary Lou McDonald is the head of Sinn Féin, used to be in Fianna Fáil, now in Sinn Féin. The King of England used to be the Prince of Wales.
You make a very good point.
Miriam Margolyes.
Yes.
Miriam Margolyes just swearing and farting our whole way through PMQs would be the best ever. Just like, no, Mr. Speaker.
Remarkably, 2022 has seen 3 different Prime Ministers. Boris Johnson, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, or as they're known collectively, the world's most profoundly depressing game of Snog, Marry, Avoid. Susie and Chris, it's over to you. What was the other story we were after?
The Supreme Court in Britain has ruled that the Scottish Parliament does not have the power to sack
Boris Johnson
without the consent of the UK government in London.
It is only 4 days ago that Liz Truss resigned, and now
First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon,
will become Prime Minister.
So this was the Supreme Court ruling that Scotland couldn't have a referendum without permission from Westminster.
That's right, let's rewind back. In June, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon laid out plans for a second referendum on Scottish independence to be held on the 19th of October 2023. As Westminster was adamant that now was not the time, the Lord Advocate took the case to the Supreme Court in July. Then in November, the Supreme Court unanimously decided that the Scottish Government could not have an independence referendum without Westminster approval. The UK Government has refused to grant formal consent for a second referendum, which means unless Nicola Sturgeon can forge consent, she'll have to do the next referendum in her vest and pants. That's where we're at right now. Well, there we go, Chris. It is all happening. Another year where we're talking about Scottish independence. What do you think? Is there any point pushing forward with a second independence referendum in Scotland if Westminster refuses to recognise it?
I've got to be honest, I didn't really know much about the de facto vote and how that all worked. But I'd heard more then about, they did it in Catalonia and they did it and it worked quite well for them. Now, with that in mind, I actually ran for something myself. And now I am the de facto king of Kilbarchan. And we had a small turnout. We just had a ballot box outside my house. But my wife, my daughter, and the dog, we were all in the running for the leadership. And the dog actually came second, but I won. And now I am the de facto king of Kilbarchan. And it doesn't matter. It's not legal. It's not recognised by law. But I am the king of Kilbarchan.
What about that, ladies and gentlemen? The king of Kilbarchan.
My concern is that Chris was only narrowly beat his dog to be the king of a place called Kilbarchan.
Karen, what do you think? Is there any point having the referendum?
I think it would be nice. I think it'd be a nice thing to do, get us out the house, and people that didn't agree with each other could just work it out through angry sex. Good to watch the country come together.
What do you think, Susie? What would a de facto vote prove?
Just ask the question, and if it's a no, we move on. And if it's a yes, we move on. But I tell you what, imagine sitting round that negotiation table. Imagine Sturgeon just looking at Gove like that. You're one of us. I would love it.
Yeah.
And me, Patrick Harvey's like, Nicola, calm down. Nicola, calm down. And the Liberal Democrats are like, who are we again?
The SNP is yet to decide on an independent Scotland's currency. Currently, the only policy is that English notes will not be accepted. See how they like it. There we go. The continuing debate around Scottish independence is the right answer. And at the end of that round, the teams are all square. Now, so much of our news is about public opinion, so we've asked a couple of 2022's biggest stars to send us their thoughts on two of the stories of the year. So, Karen and Neil, here's star of this year's Strictly Come Dancing, our very own Kay Adams. What story do you think Kay is on about here?
I have to say, Ann Summers was a little bit of a curveball. I really, really didn't see that one coming. I mean, everyone likes a steak bake. That was pretty straightforward. And a wee cheeky kebab late at night. But Ann Summers?
I'll lead you into a little bit of a clue there. Okay. He was talking about different types of businesses that may have done something that was unexpected relating to a big story this year.
Is it the death of the Queen? And is it what all those companies did when she died?
There you go. There's the link. It is, of course, the passing of the Queen. 2022 saw the sad passing of Queen Elizabeth and the rise to the throne of her son, King Charles III. A very sincere tribute to the Queen was posted by the British Kebab Awards. I'm not sure where they posted it, presumably through everybody's letterbox, with 25% off your next lamb sheesh or a pizza.
Listen, people grieve in different ways, whether for a public figure or for a private figure. Like, for the first time ever, I had to leave a virtual condolence this year. You know, on a virtual online thing, and it's RIP.ie. It's a funeral website, right? And it said, please don't type any emojis into your condolence because they may not display as you intend in the browser. And you think, who types emojis into condolences? And what emojis do they think are like, oh, so sorry to hear about the passing of Brendan, but his spirit will live on forever. Sad face ghost.
A good point. Yeah. Karen, what was your impression of the way that various people in the country reacted to it?
I felt quite sad about it just because the fact that she'd been there all my life. In honour, I wore a kind of shiny T-shirt and it's got a big shark on it, puking a rainbow, and a cat on top of the shark wearing a cowboy hat because I thought, well, it's what she would have wanted.
My favourite thing when Charles became king is the realisation that he has had a 72-year apprenticeship, because he was 72 when the Queen died. 72 years of learning to shake hands, right, and write your name. Day 3, couldn't write his name.
Chris Forbes, what's your take on the country's reaction to the sad passing of the Queen?
The minute she died, everyone said, how can we react to this in the most British way possible? And someone just went, by gum, we're gonna queue. we're gonna queue like we've never queued before. It was incredible. The queuing, I thought that was amazing.
Long queues of up to 30 hours formed to view Her Majesty's coffin. Many queuers said they tried to use the time productively, with one almost managing to get through to their GP. They were nearly there. Nearly. So close. Right, Susie and Chris, it's your turn now, and we caught up with Wimbledon champion and Paralympic gold medalist Gordon Reid. So, what do you think Gordon is talking about here?
Well, it's been a bit of a journey, this COVID thing, for all of us, hasn't it? Some people have been on longer, more pointless journeys than others. Then there's been some who are coming to the end of their journeys, but I'm sure are going to go on to do some other great things. And then there's some other people that, in my opinion, hopefully their journey just keeps going, and it seems that way at the moment.
Yeah, I think he was talking about all the changes that have happened in tennis over the last year. A lot of people retiring, moving on from the game in particular, you know.
The retirement of legends Roger Federer and Serena Williams, not to mention Andy Murray's return to Wimbledon, and spare a thought for Novak Djokovic, who in the last 12 months has been turned away from more courts than Nicola Sturgeon.
Serena Williams retiring, like Serena Williams, and she said she's not retiring, she's evolving away from tennis. And I thought, you know, that's quite nice, isn't it? And I'd like the audience watching and that are here today to know that I'm not fat, I'm just evolving away from being thin.
What about you, Karen? Any sporting events throughout the year that have caught your eye?
Aye, I was fortunate enough to be present at the Glasgow Bar Pool Championship in Framptons and Maryhill. And Big Ange took the title. She was on the last yellow. She was just about to pot it. Somebody came out the toilet and was like, "You slept with my man." And then it was a big Rammy and everything. That was a highlight for me.
What about you, Neil? I know you're a sports fan.
Yeah,
out with the tennis. Any sporting events that stood out for you this year?
The Champions League final. I went to the Champions League final.
No.
Yes.
Did you get in?
Yes. When I go to Paris, I like to try new things. I like to try new foods and new drinks. And this time I found something that kind of disagreed with me, which is tear gas. Not a fan of the old tear gas at all. So myself and my friend Tim McGarry, who you know, who presents a show in Northern Ireland, were going up and queuing at the gate, and we were tear gassed essentially by French police. They did not realise that Tim McGarry, my friend, grew up in the 70s in Belfast and laughed in their face. It was hilarious. We all had tears in our eyes, but Tim's were from nostalgia.
Look, we're talking about sport and ways that maybe we can change it to make it better. I'll bring you in, Chris. If you could revolutionise one sport, what would it be and how would you do it?
Big fan of watching boxing, but the sound of it, sometimes, it's quite visceral. You know, the sounds, it's gruesome. Boxing gloves with sound effects in them. So that every time they connect, you get a different kind of boof and doink, you know. Hadouken! And then it just makes it seem less kind of brutal as well. It's like, look, these guys having a wee honk, you know.
Well done for getting the right answer. We were talking about tennis and, of course, the year in sport. Serena Williams won 7 of her 23 Grand Slam single titles on grass, whilst Andre Agassi won 3 of his on crystal meth. And there we go, a spectacular year for the world of tennis is the right answer, and 2 points goes to Chris and Susie. Now, this round is all about who's in the news, so I will play you a clip of a mystery person who has featured prominently in the news this year. All you have to do is tell me who it is. So, Karen and Neil, who is this and why are they in the news?
It's going to come faster than anyone appreciates. I mean, I really think we're on an exponential improvement path of artificial intelligence. And the number of smart humans that are developing AI is also increasing dramatically.
Is it Elon Musk?
Karen Dunbar has just given me the right answer.
Is
what
it?
about that?
I'm pals with him, and so just whenever he's about, I was listening. I was like, "That's Sir Elon," or
Elon?
L. I like to call him.
Well, there you go. That's the right answer. It is indeed Karen DeBar's pal, billionaire Elon Musk, who in this year alone has bought Twitter, continued with his plans to dominate space travel, and offered to broker peace not only in Ukraine, but between China and Taiwan too.
Twitter was angry enough already. Like, if you put up a picture on, like, Instagram, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? People go, oh, that's a cute picture of a chicken. And on Twitter, people go, oh, my God, I can't believe you're questioning the motives of the chicken. You don't know anything about chickens. Why are you so McAdam-centric in your views? And then somebody else will go, that chicken is an illegal immigrant. It should stay on its own side of the road.
Just think, if there was ever a man that needs his dad to give him a hug, it's Halo, just to go, listen, son, relax, I'm proud of you. You don't need to be mental.
Chris Forbes, what have you made of Elon Musk's escapades in 2022?
I quite like him because I feel like he's the only one that's rich enough and innovative enough with technology to make boxing gloves with sound effects on them. So I've got a love-hate relationship with Elon.
Despite overseeing Twitter and running Tesla, Elon Musk says he is still committed to his main goal in life, colonising Mars. He maintains that reaching Mars will allow humans to achieve some very important goals, like ensuring our long-term survival, harvesting valuable minerals, and getting Harry Kane's football back. Right, Susie and Chris, it's your turn now. Who is this?
I think the creative process is fascinating because it's so elusive and so tied in with instinct, and there's always the kind of divine intervention.
This is Dame Kate Bush, isn't it?
It's the right answer. It is 80s singing superstar Kate Bush, who had the unlikeliest hit of the year when the cult TV programme Stranger Things used Running Up That Hill in an episode catapulting the song back to the top of the charts for the first time since 1985. If you haven't seen it, Stranger Things is set in a town frozen in the 1980s, where the residents are in constant conflict with a demonic underbelly born out of its dark history, much like Lark Hall. What about this, Susie? You got the right answer there. Were you surprised to see Kate Bush make a comeback after all these years?
Everything else has made a comeback this year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, grinding poverty, nationwide industrial strike action. I was right in the mood to get my leg warmers and my rah-rah skirt out there.
What about you, Chris? Are you surprised to see a Kate Bush comeback after all these years?
Not really surprised. As Susie says, everything's made a comeback. We essentially had kind of Margaret Thatcher come back for a wee spell there as well, in a different guise. The only surprise for me is that it didn't come back in a kind of acoustic Plinky Plonk version as a John Lewis Christmas ad. You know, but it was always due to come back, but not surprised. It's a banger.
And of course, Plinky and Plonk are two of the noises made by your special boxing gloves. Karen Dunbar, are you surprised to see the comeback of such an icon?
No, especially when you think she's actually singing as a person as opposed to just a machine going and calling that singing now. So I cannot wait for the resurgence of people actually singing with their voice as opposed to it just being...
Instead of like vocoding, is that what you mean? And all
Is that the word for it? Is that the word, son?
Don't know.
Vocoding? That's... Our Tyrone's doing well. He's a vocoder now. He'll be on the top of the pops in the hip parade soon.
Neil, Karen, we're talking about Stranger Things. What's been your TV or film highlight of the year?
I love Great British Bake Off. And I'll tell you, I like all series of it. It was very good, this series. And the reason I like it is because it presents this twee version of Britain people like. And it's nice and gentle. And you see a white tent in the English countryside at 8 o'clock on Channel 4 and you think, people are baking. Whereas if you see a white tent in Glasgow on the 6 o'clock news, there's been a murder.
That's a very good observation. What about you, Karen? We're talking about Stranger Things. What's been your TV or film highlight of the year?
Film highlight's got to be Elvis. Have you seen it? Oh, it was
brilliant.
It was amazing. It was a total spectacle. And see that guy that played him. Honestly, I nearly went back to the Bobby. I defy you. Unfortunately, he wasn't in when I went round to his house. He was Is it Elon's? That was a highlight.
Can I just say I have no idea what's going on?
That's best you don't.
Okay. In my head, she's gone out with a police officer. But I don't think that's right.
Two of the biggest TV shows in Scotland this year were crime series Shetland and a spin-off show about where the washing ends up when it's hung out in Shetland. That's called Two Doors Down. And there we go. Musical legend Kate Bush is the right answer, and 2 points go to Susie and Chris. And there we go, quick as that. It's time now for our final quick-fire round, which is all about deciphering the numbers in the news. So I will read out a headline, and all the teams have to do is fill in the blanks. And all of our facts and figures are about 2022. So get ready, teams. When we run out of time, you'll hear this.
But them's the breaks.
There we go. Ah, nostalgia. That's former Prime Minister Boris Johnson there in his new job as a driving instructor. Right, fingers and buzzers, let's go, teams. What has been updated for the first time in 40 years? Neil.
Prince Charles's CV.
We're looking for something else specifically from this year's news. What has been updated for the first time in 40 years? Susie.
Rod Stewart's hairdo.
The answer is actually this. What has been updated for the first time in 40 years is the NASA spacesuits for future moon missions. So the design had been kept the same since the 70s, but now they're updating them, so there you go.
I can't believe I never got that.
I love the fact that they're not wearing flares to space it. Oh no, skinny fit, skinny fit.
Yeah, previously they were all dressed as Shaggy for Scooby-Doo.
But them's the breaks.
There we go, that is the klaxon. Boris is Johnson, meaning it's all over. And at the end of the quiz, our winners for 2022 are Chris Forbes and Susie McCabe. And let's hear your commiserations for our runners-up, Neil Delamere and Karen Dunbar. And we'll leave you with some breaking the year predictions for 2023. In February, the movie Cocaine Bear will be released, a comedy thriller based on the true story of a bear finding and consuming 34 kilos of cocaine. And a plot twist, though, the film has a happy ending when the bear becomes Secretary of State for levelling up. Another prediction is that Donald Trump will be prosecuted while he runs for president. He'll ask his supporters to stop chanting 4 more years in case it gives the judge any ideas. And the coronation of King Charles III will take place on the 6th of May 2023 at Westminster Abbey. He'll take a seat on the throne before speaking his official first words as the Crown King. Holly and Phil, would you mind budging over? The year is broken. I've been Des Clark. Goodbye.
If you need to find a dentist in a hurry,
YGB's Christmas line on Leeds Double